Tim with Pack 39, Assistant Scoutmaster, and we're working on some virtual den meetings. So I'm going to do a virtual den meeting for everyone, and we're going to go over some basic knots in this den meeting. And we'll start off with the easiest one, the square knot. So let's take a look up here. So I'm going to get my piece of rope, and just for easy sake, I've got my rope. I'm going to cross it over like so, and just like you would tie your shoes, I'm going to just do a regular overhand knot to start with. But instead of tying your typical bows, nope, we are going to cross it again. Instead of under over, now we're going over under. So whatever you did the first time, you do the opposite the second time, and you should end up with this symmetric knot that looks like so. Okay, very nice knot. Let's do that again in slow motion. You cross your ropes. I'm going to go over for an overhand knot, like you tie your shoes. And the next time we go reverse. Now I'm on top going over, and then we're going to go under to line up this rope right beside this one, like so. Now let's say in the old days you were a thief and you were the other guy, maybe you were the guy trying to keep the thief from getting in there. You would purposely go this way so that you saw that this is different, and then the thief would come in there, steal your stuff out of your bag, and he might switch it around and then forget that you did a thief's knot, which we call that thief knot, or a granny knot we had there before. And you come up here, and then when it looks good, the owner of the bag would be like, okay, someone's been in my bag, so someone's been in there. But again, that's a granny knot or a thief's knot if you do it the wrong way. So not a big deal, still not a bad knot really, but just not as sturdy. Now, one of the functions of the square knot could be used to make a rope that's not long enough longer by connecting two pieces of rope, or maybe you need a longer clothesline. So I'm going to cross here. I'm going to use two different color ropes so you can see a little bit easier. I'm going to come over here like we did before, and then again I'm going to go over under the second time because we went under over the first time, and then we have right there, and that will line it up into a square knot. Now I'm going to pull this part really tight, and then you'll see that if you don't pull it tight enough, it is going to go through, and that is not cool. So what you want to do, pull this thing through a little bit more, and I've made this mistake a lot of times, and then it's going to be pretty solid then. But if you don't pull these tight, you can forget it. So that way we have a nice long knot. All right, and that is it, folks, for the square knot. All right, so the next knot we're going to do is 2 half hitches, okay? So I like to make it functional, so you'll see sometimes I'll do it in the tent. So if you look right here, you'll see I've got a little loop right there in the top of the tent. And let's say I want to hang my lantern in there, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my rope and put it through that little loop. And you'll see me do this on camping trips a lot. Now to do 2 half hitches, the trick is when you go around it like this, notice I'm going to go over the first time and pull it tight. Well, on 2 half hitches, you have to go over again, and it's going to look like that. Look at that little knot right there. Okay, so let's do that again. So again, I'm coming here, I'm going over. This is your line, and this is your working side, okay? So I'm gonna come here, and I'm gonna go on the inside, not this side, over here. I'm gonna go over it like that. Well, because I went over that time, I've got to go over again. See that? And so I'm gonna go in here and pull through. And that is 2 1/2 hitches. Now what some people like to do is also called a cow hitch, or I think it's called a lark's hitch or something. And what that is, it's almost very similar. It actually looks pretty. If you go over the first time, you go underneath the second time and it comes through like this. And see, if you notice, the Larks or cow hitch actually is a pretty knot. It kind of looks good, but it's said not to be as strong and sturdy as the 2.5 hitches because it doesn't have as much tension on a rope. Now the reason a 2.5 hitches has more tension is because if you notice, when you come over here and you went over, the next time you have to go over too, you'll notice that it's coming on this side. So there's a tension created by these not being together. So you have double knot tension there. And that's actually a stronger knot. Now let's see how this might be applied if I wanted to use 2.5 hitches to throw something up in the tree, so to speak. Let's say I've got to worry about bears coming to get my food on a hiking trip or something. So follow me this way. And I'm gonna grab my trusty canteen here. Follow me this way. Now let's say there's bears in the woods, so I might go ahead and tie, again, my 2.5 hitches to my bag. Now this could be wrapped around, you could cinch a bag and get all that, but my canteen here, look, it's an old Scout from when I was a kid. All right, so you're gonna do the same thing right here. Let me hook these bad boys back together. There we go, slide that back there. All right, fun. All right, now, again, watch my hands here. Over, which means I have to go over again. Good review, right? And then we got my 2.5 hitches. Now, in a real situation, I had this heavy bag. I'm gonna throw it way up in the tree over, right? So, but for demonstration purposes, let's pretend I threw it over. The weight of the bag will help throw it. And we're gonna come all the way over here. All right? And then I would wanna tie it off. So I would come over here and tie it off to something, okay? Now in this case, maybe my rope wasn't long enough, so that would be a problem, so I might would tie it off to something else a little bit closer. Let's pretend this was a lower branch, and I might would tie it off to a lower branch, and again, I might do that same knot, right? All right. Over, and let's do it, repeat again. Going over again, I gotta go over again. 2.5 hitches, you do it the same way twice, okay? Now, if I wanted to get a longer rope or a different knot, I might do that. But those are some examples of using the 2.5 hitches. And we'll be back for another one. Okay, so we're gonna do a close look at the 2.5 hitches. So let's say I'm gonna go underneath here. And the biggest thing to remember is if you go underneath, then guess what? You have to go underneath again, like so. This creates a cinch right here that makes a tight knot. Let's do it again in slow motion. Get a little bit extra room so you can see. We're gonna go around through here, like so. And because we went underneath, we have to go underneath again, like so. That's what it looks like if you can see it nice and close. Now, let's pretend you went over. If you go over, you have to go underneath here, but because you went over that time, you have to go over again and pull your knot. And that's what it looks like from that angle and from that angle. Now, what's commonly seen when you make a mistake is called a lark's head or a cow hitch. So for example, if I were to go underneath this time and underneath, through there like that, then the next time, if I go over, it looks like so. Now this knot, if you look here, it's a lot prettier. It's like a lark's head or a cow hitch. That's what happens if you go under, over, and then over, under, over. So again, let's see what that looks like. If I go here, underneath, and the next time I go over, like so, from that angle, it looks like that. But what we want to do is not do a cow hitch or a 2 half hitch. What we want to do is go under here and then go under again. And then it looks like so. And that is the 2 half hitches. All right, we're back again. This time I want to show you the clove hitch. Okay, one of my favorite knots. Most people use it for different things. I like to use it the same way you might use a timber hitch as well. But I'm going to show you some different purposes of the clove hitch. So let's say I'm on a clove hitch. I'll make it on this. Maybe you could put it around this giant stick here. So I'm going to go around it here. And all I'm going to do is make the letter X. You see that letter X? Let's use this smaller piece of wood for demo. And then I'm going to take this in here, and I'm going to come back around, and I'm going to go back right there. Okay, so this is kind of nice here. Okay, now this pulls pretty tight. So if I needed to take it and drag some wood, I could do that. But I wanted to show you another purpose of this, and that is back what we were talking about earlier, the 2 half hitches. I didn't want to mix the 2 knots together, so I'm going to keep my 2 half hitches up here, but I've switched it with the larger rope. And remember, we talked about how you would throw your bag up if you're on a hiking trip or something like that. Well, I'm going to pretend we had already thrown it up. Okay, so it's hanging up there where the bears can't get to the food. Now, don't be fooled. A bear can climb, and they can climb better than anybody, and they can also run faster. So don't think you can out-climb or outrun a bear. That's a whole nother lesson. But let's say I wanted to tie it off. Now, we talked about tying it off before with the 2 1/2 hitch. Well, you can also tie it off with the clove hitch. So I can go all the way here with my longer rope. And again, remember we did the X, right? So we got the X there. So I'm going to take the end of it and come back through. Okay? And then you got that. Pretty cool. Now, let's talk about another purpose of that clove hitch. I'm going to take the other end off here, which we had the 2 1/2 hitches before. And let's see if I have enough rope. Let's see. We're going to redo this. Come over here so you can see it again. Repetition is key anyway, so let's do that. I'm going to loosen this up and make it a little bit more closer to the end. Again, we have the letter X. We're going to go back around, and I'm going to go through the center of the X. That's how I've always learned it. I like that. All right. And now I'm going to follow the rope here. We're going to go that way. And I'm going to tie it to the other end. Again, making another. Oh, I got to go a little bit closer. I didn't misjudge that. So we're going to make another X here. As y'all can see. And then you get the idea. We put this through the center. Having all kinds of technical difficulties. And you get to laugh at me. It's okay. This is real life. We're not doing multiple takes on this. So we're going to come right through there. And what can we do with this long line? Let's see this long line. Well, you could use it as a clothesline to hang your clothes drying. You could use this as a clothesline. So that's easy to do. Okay? So again, that's the clove hitch. I like that. Now let's say there's ways to do the clove hitch where let's say you wanted to wrap it around something and you didn't, and you had a freestanding situation. You could make 2 loose. So let's see if there's a good example here. All right, come and follow me here. We'll do it right around this little pole over here. So let's say you made like a number 6 like that. You can make another number 6, basically, just like that. So it's gonna go underneath, okay? All right, and then you just cross them over, and you can go around something, and then you pull it tight. And if you notice, it's the same thing. So that's another trick that people can do. So if you had something freestanding, and you might be able to loop it around there, and then I can pull it. See, it's pretty tight there. So that's a good rope. And remember, we also talked about how you could wrap it around a big stack of wood too. So anyway, there's a few cool things about the clove hitch, okay? All right, so our next knot is going to be the timber hitch. I love the timber hitch. You can use it for multi-purpose, but the main reason I would use it is the same reason I was talking about the clove hitch earlier, is to drag pieces of wood. So let's pretend this fencing was too heavy for me to carry by myself. I would kind of roll it over this here, or it could be a big stack of wood or something like that. And then I'm going to create what we call, let me get on this side so y'all can see. There we go. And in terminology, a lot of times they call this a bite. Anytime you loop around, that's a bite. So what I'm going to do, this is pretty easy. All you do is after you make the bite, you just wrap this bad boy around here no less than 3 times. If you got 4 or 5, I mean, you can keep wrapping around technically, okay? But you want to do it at least 3 times. And there you go. That's all it is to it. And now I can drag it on. All right, so let's do it one more time. We went underneath. We went around the lead line. Okay, so it's right there. Now all you have to do is just keep going underneath this one. And again, the minimal is 3 times. I mean, if you only have the ability to do it twice, maybe you might get lucky, but the last one I did maybe 5 or 6 times. So that's all you do. From there, you see that you got the little bite around here. It's looped several times, and then you take your regular rope and you're good to go. And that is the timber hitch. All right, so our next knot is the bowline or bowline, depending on what dialect you want to use. It is typically a rescue knot, but it can also be used for many purposes, including like tying off your kayak or canoe to the dock or something. So I have my trusty companions here to go help demonstrate. All right, so let's look at this. Basically, we're going to make a tree, the old rabbit in the tree scenario, very common. Just for camera purposes, I'm going to make this loop small so you can see the hole. But keep in mind, the longer or the bigger this part is, the longer your line is that you can throw. The opposite part of all this is going to be basically your loop that you would throw around someone to rescue them or around a pole to tie down your boat. So again, we're going to take the rabbit's going to go up through the hole. Notice I'm taking my right hand, I'm holding it tightly. Notice also that the tree is underneath the hole line. So here's your hole, but this is underneath. Okay, very important. And I'm holding it tight with that so it doesn't get loose. Now I'm going to take the rabbit. It's going to go up the hole. It's going to go around the tree. Okay? Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. So look very closely. Okay? And my son did it even better than me. You can check out his video. He was awesome at it. But we're going to take this. I'm going to take these two here, the tree and that other working line, and run the two that went around with the rabbit, and I'm going to pull them in opposite directions. And that is what we call the bowline. So take a look at what that looks like. You see that? All right. Now again, the part that was my original loop, you see it's small because that's how big our little circle was to start with. The opposite side is our rescue rope. Okay, so the two things we can do, I could, you know, toss it to the person. He's gonna be all the way in the water here. And my son and daughter did a great video, check it out, where they actually saved each other. And you put this around their waist, they're gonna hold on there, and you're taking this and you're gonna rescue them. This is a nice tight knot, okay? Now, if I was tying that to, that could be my boat, and I might be tying it, that could be either the boat or the, you know, maybe one of the areas that you would tie off your boat at the dock. And then you could tie another line over here. This line, again, here's another example where you could use that clove hitch. I could just, to make a quick knot, again, I'm gonna make the letter X, go through the two lines of the X here, and I could just do it like that. And that would be fine, okay? But there's all kinds of other knots you can use, but that might be a quick one I might want to use because that was pretty tight, and I've got that, and we're all good to go. But in most, there's a lot of boats and things like that the rope is built into the actual boat, so this part might be still, and you'd only have to tie that one thing off. But again, that is the bowl. All right, so this knot is the taut line hitch. All right, I love this knot. It's just one of my favorite knots for some reason, I don't know. But we got the small tent out because I didn't want to be taking all the time to make the big tent. But pretend that we're tying down a tarp or your tent down to a stake. So we're gonna come over here, so get a close up here. We're gonna come over here, and I'm gonna go around whatever I'm trying to do, okay? So watch very closely. I've got the two lines. So this is my working line, and this is the line to the tarp or tent. And I might have it loose to start with, right? So I'm gonna go around once, and then I'm gonna go underneath here, not once, but 2 times, okay? Now when it comes back over here, if you notice, it's gonna go underneath here, and it's gonna go back through there, like so. Okay, now I'm gonna pull it nice and tight. It's gonna look just like that. Now I'm gonna pull it here if you want to first, just to look at. I might pull it nice and tight here. And if you notice, that's what it looks like. Now the beauty of this, see how loose that is? But the beauty of the taut line hitch, if you want to back up, notice as I slide this here, what does it do? It tightens up that rope. And that holds it nice and tight. So look at that rope, see how nice and tight it is? And I can even make it tighter. Now when I'm getting ready to let it down, all I have to do is just make it loose and we're good to go. So that's pretty cool right there. So let's show that one more time. We're tying it down, we're coming over here, and a lot of the fancy new tents has this kind of built in with that little, I don't know what you call it, dingle hopper metal piece that actually helps you tighten it. But this is old school and I like it. Again, let's do that again. We're gonna go around, I'm gonna go over it, and I'm gonna take it here on the inside, not on this side, but on the inside of it, once, twice, and then it goes over this. You see that? And then it's gonna go on the other side. Now this time it's gonna go underneath. And it's gonna come right through there. And I'm gonna pull it nice and tight there. And it's loose right there, right? But the good thing about the taut line hitch is you can make it taut. So I'm gonna make it tight. And then it's nice and holding down your tent or tarp, could be whatever you need to do. Now I'm gonna show you a non-orthodox way that I like to use this knot. And that is actually inside my tent. So follow me here, and we're gonna look at, I've got my little lantern here. Let's pretend I've already done, let's look up here. Let's do a quick review of the half hitches. We went over. If you do over the first time, you gotta go over the second time. And that's your 2 half hitches. Well, what I like to do now on my lanterns, you'll see me in my tent, I'll do a taut line here. And the reason, because I like to adjust the height. Okay? So again, I'm coming here. Let me turn around so you can see me. Now, let's see. All right, so again, I'm gonna do it the same angle we did before. We're gonna go around once, twice, and then I'm gonna come, there's a long rope here on purpose. You'll see why. And I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna go on the inside like I did before. And that's just a taut line hitch, that's all that is, all right? So the cool thing about the taut line hitch is you can adjust it. So guess what? I'm just gonna slide this bad boy up and I can make the lantern higher. Now, of course, you could use a shorter rope and you could go up and down, or you may bring it down for reading if you're in the tent with someone else and they don't want all that light in there. You know, you could bring it down just closer to you, right? But this is kind of nice. I like to adjust the height of that's what people see me do in my tent. Sometimes I'll do that. And that, my folks, is the taut line hitch. All right, so here's a closer view. The taut line hitch, I'm gonna go underneath, pretending that's a stake or whatever. All right, so I'm gonna come here, hold it tightly. So see where we are? I'm gonna go around once, twice. Now I'm gonna go underneath here, come back around like so. Pull it through, and there we have it. I'm gonna put it nice and tight there. And if I need to adjust the length of it, all I have to do is slide this down like so. Now that's what it looks like right there. Let's do it one more time. Hopefully it won't twist up on us this time. Okay. I'm gonna go over like so. Let me get a little bit longer. Once. Twice. Then it's gonna go not over, but underneath here, and it's gonna come straight through there, like so. Okay, and at that point I can adjust this line if I need to. Okay, get another closer look right there. That's what it looks like, and you can adjust it. And that is the taut line hitch.